Welcome to the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, October 13th. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of the fantasyfootballfanatics.com. I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined as always by CJ the Hitman Hickman. CJ, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? And by Tuesday, you mean Thursday.
I do mean Thursday. Actually,
and when you
Friday.
mean Thursday, you mean Friday, because this is when the listeners are listening to this.
We are.
It's all good. It's all good, though.
All turned around.
It's all good.
Was I looking at the wrong show doc? I must have been looking at Tuesday's show doc.
Right.
Anyway, it's Friday. I got the date right. Regardless, we're off the rails. That's a bad start. Anyway, welcome to the show, everyone. We have an amazing show for you guys today. Today, of course, we're going to be doing all of our starts and sits for week number 6. Of course, also all the top headlines from around the league. Quite a bit to get to. Some big breaking news happened since our last recording. And again, if you follow us on Twitter, you already know all about it. Easiest way, again, at the FF Fanatics. It's 3 F's in there, people. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. You can submit your questions to thefantasyfootballfanatics@gmail.com. You can find us online at thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. We are streaming on iTunes and Stitcher and all the other streaming services, obviously on YouTube as well. I mean, the checklists just go on and on. And, of course, if you want to take your fandom one step further, help support the show, get a lot of cool bonus perks along the way, simply head over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Go ahead and sign up there, join the community, an exclusive community, we should say, and a lot of bonus perks include bonus episodes every single week. Lots of good stuff and a lot more to offer as well, so check that out. We're going to move right into our top headlines from around the league, and we'll start at the quarterback position, where we start in Tennessee, where Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota said that he is, quote, feeling good, end quote, and that he likes his chances for suiting up on Monday Night Football versus the Indianapolis Colts. So, good news there. If you are a Marcus Mariota owner, are you feeling pretty good about this, CJ?
Oh, man, you're hoping that this is true. I mean, hoping that's the case. I know this guy got, hit with that hamstring injury a couple weeks ago, but man, this Titans offense is just a heap of garbage without him in there, man, because Matt Castle is just not good at football anymore. He's just not that guy. So you are hoping that this is the case. I know for me personally, I was talking to a Titans fan earlier, and I was like, man, I think this is going to be the first Monday Night Football game that I'm actually not going to watch just because he's not in it. I mean, it was going to be a snore fest on that side of the ball without Marcus being there. So, I'm hoping that the case that he does play.
I mean, Marcus Mariota, 140. Marcus Mariota, wow, he was out. Matt Castle, 141 yards and a touchdown was his entire performance last week. So, not exactly.
It's pretty bad.
It was not an exciting performance against what should have been a pretty good matchup against the Dolphins. I mean, yes, on the road, but still. So, this game in Tennessee, that's a perk.
Got a little interesting.
Yeah, but if you are the Marcus Mariota owner, I'm not preaching rostering Matt Castle. I think you should go out and grab my stream of the week from last week and my start of the week last week, Jacoby Brissett. So, same game and a pretty decent matchup. So, Titans are giving up the 3rd most points to fantasy quarterbacks right now. So, just putting that out there. Let's move on to the running back position, where Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott has had his injunction on his suspension appealed, and therefore his suspension has been reinstated. So, we haven't been talking about this a lot lately, and that's because, like we talked about last time when we were reporting on this, we're not lawyers. When we get definitive news one way or another, we'll let you know. And this is pretty definitive. So now he is expected to re-appeal with a different plea. So, I mean, this could all be for nothing, and we could be going right back to the courtrooms and having the suspension stand or not, or what. We'll see. They're on a bye this week. We'll obviously know more by the time he's supposed to potentially suit up for week number 7. Let's move on to Adrian Peterson, who has been traded from the New Orleans Saints to the Arizona Cardinals. So, I mean, some exciting news there, but he's going from a bad offensive line to a worse offensive line. But you have to imagine he's going to get more of a workload in Arizona. I really wish Jason was not on vacation right now so he could weigh in on this. CJ, what are your thoughts? Because I think people are kind of losing their minds over it, and I am not that excited about it yet. I really need to see it happen. I just don't know if it's going to work out. I think it's a better fit for him, but I don't think he's going to just jump in and we're going to see the Adrian Peterson of 2 years ago. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for the short term, which we're all focused on because we already know once DJ comes back, this is going to be Adrian Peterson going to go right back to what he was doing and with the Saints, being that bench guy. But I mean, for the short term right now, I think you can be a little optimistic about it. I mean, this guy, he just did not fit in New Orleans, and right now the Cardinals, one thing that's hurting them in this offense from moving forward, from getting any traction, trying to get any momentum is the running game. I mean, the running game right now is basically non-existent. You got Andre Ellis in there, but in the organization, they already know, this guy's injury history, so they don't want to just run strictly through them. A guy they brought in, a guy that was decent for him a couple years ago, Chris Johnson, CJ 2K, but this dude he just doesn't have that burst. He doesn't have that explosiveness. He's just always getting tackled. The first tackle is getting them. That stuff right there, that hurts and hinders this offense. So if you bring a big body guy, AP in there, man, a guy that still looked like he had some burst, during the preseason and probably find those holes. That's the one thing that's concerning to me is just like you addressed about the offensive line. But, Adrian Peterson, let's not forget that this dude, is done good with worse. He never really had a great offensive line throughout his whole career, but yet he still made money. So I think he can still, get some good production. I think he's still a guy, if you drop that, you can pick him up. But I'm not a big fan of him this week, but I think going forward, I mean, the reason why I'm not a big fan of him this week, hey, this is first week with the team. The dude just got basically just teleported into a whole new system. It's hard. It's going to be hard to think that you're going to get some real legit, good points from this guy. And this is his first week,
I mean, it's a good matchup. The Buccaneers are giving up the 5th most points to fantasy running backs, but yeah, it's a new system, a new town. He's got to get situated. He's got to learn that with his teammates what the strong points of the line are. I mean, a lot of it, I'm sure they're just going to set him up and do like pretty base run plays, but you're not going to see anything flashy or creative with him yet. So, it's a wait and see approach. If you are desperate and you need a running back too because of bye weeks or a flex option, I mean, there are worse options out there, but I would preach caution as well with Adrian Peterson this week.
I agree.
All right. Well, let's move on to also talk about where Arizona head coach Bruce Arians has reiterated in an interview that he had on Wednesday that the, quote, earliest that running back David Johnson could return is Thanksgiving, of course, coming back from the wrist injury. So the timetable seems to be sticking with what we heard after the week 1 going into week 2 reports. So obviously we will monitor going forward, but I mean, with you, as you mentioned, CJ, with David Johnson out, Adrian Peterson stands to see a decent workload. And I mean, yeah, I also agree with you, Chris Johnson, not showing the burst. And we talk about 2 running backs here that if we go back like 5-6 years, we're talking about 2 of the elite running backs in fantasy football. Yeah. But Adrian Peterson's game has always been a power runner, wearing guys down where, like you mentioned, CJ 2K was all about that burst and speed, and he just wasn't showing it. So they went from one ex-running back superstar to another, but I think the chances are better with Adrian Peterson. And he has done more with less. So we'll see. But, he's also the oldest he's ever been. That goes without saying. So yeah, we will monitor and let you know when we know more. But it's definitely a risk for this week. Let's move on to Green Bay, where running back Ty Montgomery is expected to play this week, going into week number 6, but he is expected to back up Aaron Jones regardless of his status going into the game. He's obviously coming back from the rib injury. He broke the ribs. He's coming back. He's going to be wearing a flak jacket, most likely. Those tend to slow you down. I think he's going to be more of a change of pace and pass-catching option. Aaron Jones, I would start with confidence again this week. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree, man. I'll actually be interested to see them run a lot of 2-back sets with both of them because I think Aaron Jones, these last couple of weeks, has proven and shown that, he's a guy that should be in the mix. And I think it would, just like a, Atlanta Falcons situation, I think it would help him more that Aaron Jones gets in the mix so Ty Montgomery doesn't get all these hits on his body, man. His body, yeah, he put on muscle, but right now that muscle's still not enough. He's still getting hurt, and that's one thing that's hurting him as a player and hurting for you in fantasy.
This is why, and we talked about this off the air, this is why I still don't think it was worth spending an arm and a leg to get Aaron Jones, even in hindsight, because Ty Montgomery is the guy there. They really like him. He's going to work in. This is going to be a committee where they're just going to cannibalize off each other more and more with every week as Ty Montgomery gets healthy. And Jamal Williams with that knee injury, I mean, he's still playing, but I don't think he's 100%. He's going to probably see touches as well. It's a real committee with, obviously a lead back, but I don't expect it to, feature anyone anytime soon.
It's tough, man. Williams needs to hurry up and get back, man. I mean, we seen in the NFL, you out for a couple weeks. I mean, it's a tough business, but they ride the hot hand, and the momentum guys. Yeah. The two momentum guys are Adams and Montgomery, and Jamal Williams. He's going to be that third back and probably a guy that not going to get a lot of touches.
Jones and Montgomery, yeah. But yeah, he simple. Example. Sorry, right there.
Just called him by his first name.
You did. Aaron Jones, yeah. Simple example, though, right there. I mean, Jamal Williams went from being the number 2 to the number 3 after 1 week's play. So, we'll see how it plays out. Let's move on to New York with the Jets, where running back Matt Forte has been practicing on Thursday, of course, coming back from that turf toe injury. So something to monitor if you are a Elijah McGuire fan like myself for this week. But also, I say rest easy because I think they're going to probably try and rest him. Also, running back Bilal Powell did not practice yet, dealing with that calf injury. He's expected to miss week number 6. In Washington, running back Rob Kelly remains sidelined at practice on Thursday, dealing with that ankle injury. His status is somewhat up in the air, but Samaje Perine is expected to play coming off the bye and is expected to get, quote, the majority of the carries, end quote, this week, which was confirmed by head coach Jay Gruden. So, Samaje Perine, a nice streaming starting option if you're playing him off your bench, maybe a guy worth suiting up and putting in your starting lineup right there. If he's going to get the bulk of the carries coming off a bye week, I like that opportunity. What do you think, CJ?
I mean, I've been a big Samaje Perine ever since going into draft season and going into preseason. He's a guy that I want to believe that this opportunity that he seizes it. Because the last couple of times he's gotten the start, gotten the opportunities. He's been looking a tad slow. He doesn't look like he's showing that burst that we've seen in his college tape and what we saw during the draft season. He's just. I think it's a part of the game, just being a rookie right now. He just, slowly working in, getting comfortable, finding his place in the offense, so hopefully, with the majority of the carries, he starts to get that. It's a somewhat decent matchup going against Frisco. I mean, they've been playing a little stingy, but yeah, they give you opportunities to be able to score on them. So I hope so, but I'm a little, not 100% confident that, he'll probably seize the moment though.
I think obviously we need to see him, go out there and put up a solid performance, but it's a great matchup coming off a bye against the 49ers, like you mentioned, who are giving up the third most points to fantasy running backs, only one full fantasy point away from tying that top spot with the Patriots. So, I mean, they're up there on the bad end and / good matchup side for us here on fantasy when it comes to starting running backs. So, something to think about. I would start him with confidence. If I can roll him into my flex position, I would be pretty happy with that this week. Let's go to Indianapolis, where head coach Chuck Pagano said that running back Marlon Mack is not yet ready to be an every down or a third down back. So, good news if you're a Frank Gore owner, but it does seem like he's trending in that direction. We've heard how they want to get Marlon Mack more involved going forward. So, we'll see. But we're not rolling out Marlon Mack anytime soon in our starting lineups for fantasy. So,
he's a great guy to stash away, though, because it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, definitely a stash guy. Definitely a good handcuff guy to pick up. Now that we're getting more into the meat of the season, the handcuffs start to become a little bit more important as we get into the bye weeks as well. So, something to monitor. Let's move on to the wide receiver position. Let's go to Atlanta, where wide receiver Julio Jones has declared himself a, quote, ready to go, end quote, player for week number 6. He's coming back from a hip injury. However, to this point through Thursday, we haven't heard the practice reports yet for Friday. This is early morning Friday. He has been limited in practice. So I expect him to play coming off a bye. Do you expect anything differently, CJ?
I don't expect anything. I mean, the only thing about it, I do expect him to play, but it's just about his workload. He coming off that hip injury. Is he going to be that? Is he going to be a guy that's going to be, getting the looks from Matt Ryan, or is he just basically going to be out there as a distraction? Because they saying he can go, but is he 100% healthy? That's my only thing with him. because they've done it before. They have a bad history with that. So, I hate, he's a guy that you still got to put in there, but, it's going to suck, seeing that, basically maybe 4 to 7 points from him. And he's just that basically distraction.
I mean, they're going up against the Falcons. They are the Falcons. They're going up against the Dolphins at home in Atlanta. And the Dolphins are giving up the 10th fewest points to fantasy wide receivers. I'll admit that, but I think a lot of that ties into the fact that, they played Tennessee and some other pass-catching cores. So I think that Atlanta will expose them. And, these are things, when we were in the entire offseason, into the preseason, through draft season, we were saying this is your life. If you draft Julio Jones, he is going to be hobbled. He's going to get banged up, and there's always the chance he's used as a diversion. So, yeah, I agree with everything you've said, but, I mean, it's Julio Jones. You're starting him regardless. You just have to know that he's a low floor, high ceiling player. So we'll see. Indeed. Let's go to Kansas City, where wide receiver Tyreek Hill was added to the injury report on Thursday, dealing with a hamstring injury. Late additions to injury reports are a scary, scary thing. So definitely something to monitor. I mean, when stuff like this happens, I honestly start thinking that they're more listed as doubtful than anything. What do you think, CJ?
Yeah, you hate to hear this. I mean, you would rather hear that earlier in the week, you know what I'm saying? So he can be able to rest and maybe feel better and get a couple days and then be good to go. But to get this late, I mean, yeah, that Sunday is looking a little questionable. And then for it to be a receiver, and then this type of receiver, that he's all about the burners and turn them on and going full throttle. This is pretty questionable, man. I think you should try to look and get backup plans.
Yeah, midweek injuries are scary. So, we will see. A tough matchup as well against the Steelers, who are giving up the fewest points to fantasy wide receivers right now. So monitor that, and I'm concerned. Let's go to Minnesota, where wide receiver Stephon Diggs has remained sidelined at practice through Thursday, dealing with his groin injury. He has come out and said that he plans to play, but that's great and all. It comes down to the medical staff and the coaches. So it's good though that he has that fire, but I'm concerned because he hasn't practiced yet. What do you think, CJ?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I witnessed that, Monday night, seeing that injury go down and see how it's affecting this Vikings team. I mean, this whole team has really been affected by the quarterback position. I mean, it's just basically now just a domino effect. You got Sam Bradford down, and now Stephon Diggs dealing with this a groin injury. Dalvin Cook, a guy we mentioned before. It's tough. This is tough, man. I mean, because it's a different offense when Sam Bradford's in there versus Case Keenum, and now even an injured Sam Bradford, and you got a Case Keenum coming in there. I mean, it's moving, but it's it's like basically getting like a 2007 Toyota Corolla, and then you upgrade and get a 2008 Toyota Corolla. I mean, it's not much of a difference, you know what I'm saying? But maybe get a couple more miles of gas per gallon. But man,
it's a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, a little more efficient. But man, you would love that 2017. But
Well, I mean, 2017, could that be Teddy Bridgewater coming off the PUP list?
It could.
Eligible in a couple weeks.
I want it to be. I think it deserved it. I think it would be so poetic. Sam Bradford comes in and relieves Teddy Bridgewater's job, and then now Teddy comes back healthy and gets Sammy B up out of there.
Of course, this is all hypothetical. We haven't been hearing any updates on him. They didn't put him on IR, though. That's what really stands out. They put him on the physically unable to perform list, which means that they had hopes that he could return. So, Minnesota is really up in the air. They've suffered some key injuries, as have many teams, but, I mean, a lot that affect fantasy in particular. So that's why we're spending time talking about it. So Stephon Diggs does play. I mean, you got to start him with confidence. He's a young, up-and-coming superstar and a decent matchup against the Packers, who are giving up middle-range performance against wide receivers. But it is divisional, so you could really lean either way. If you have better options, maybe you play them because hamstrings, or groins rather, they tend to linger. Let's go to Miami, where wide receiver Devontae Parker has remained sidelined at practice through Thursday, dealing with an ankle injury. His status is very much up in the air. I need him to play. See, peeling back the curtain here, CJ and I are playing in our big league of record, and I already have two of my starting wide receivers on a bye week. And who do I have? Oh yeah, AJ Green and Des Bryant in that league. So I need Parker to suit up.
You need Jay Cutler to realize that he's a quarterback, and
I need a lot of things. CJ and I are playing for first place in that league, so
yeah,
it'll be a good game. But CJ is at full strength, makes me pretty sad. But I know nobody cares about our fantasy leagues. We'll move on.
They all care. There's fans of the show. They better care.
Right. Let's go to New York with the Giants, where wide receiver Sterling Shepard did not practice on Thursday, dealing with an ankle injury as well. All three of their top receivers went down to ankle injuries. If I'm the Giants, I'm just accepting the fact that Week 6 is a loss. They're playing the Broncos. Why rush out now your number one receiver with an injury? I would honestly sit him. And if he does start, he's not starting for me. I mean, putting my money where my mouth is, I've already dropped Eli Manning. I don't think he's worth anything without Odell Beckham Jr. being down, who's obviously done. Obviously, potential uptick in volume with Brandon Marshall doesn't matter because he's done as well for the year. So, I don't like it, so I dropped him. I dropped him in our big league of record, and I picked up a guy who I've mentioned already in the show, and a guy that I'm also putting my money where my mouth is because I picked him up and am streaming him against CJ. So, yeah, we'll get there. Let's go to Los Angeles with the Chargers, where wide receiver Mike Williams, rookie high draft pick Mike Williams, he has said that he expects to play on Sunday, could be making his debut, but just like we talked about with Stephon Diggs, this is coming from the player, not the coaching staff, so we will see. This all, of course, assumes that he is deemed football ready, so it's great to know that he feels that he's ready to go and he's got that fire, but he doesn't make that decision. We'll know more in a couple days. Stay tuned on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. Let's go to Tennessee, where wide receiver Corey Davis is already listed as out for week number 6, dealing with that hamstring injury. So, I don't know, CJ, are you starting any Titans wide receivers with any type of confidence if it's not Marcus Mariota this week?
I mean,
I know we already kind of talked about this, but cover the whole basis. I'm talking about, I gotta be like so much in a bind, so much desperation. I would go probably Rashard Matthews. That would be it. That would be it. You know what I mean? That would be the only guy, because I would want to go Corey Davis here, but he's dealing with his injury. Eric Decker, we haven't seen anything from him except from outside of that preseason touchdown between him and Marcus Mariota. What are your thoughts on Delaney Walker?
Delaney,
I'd start him this week, I think, against the Colts. The Colts have been really bad against tight ends.
Those backup quarterbacks, they love their tight ends. So, I can see that. But out of the receivers, just probably Matthews. That would be the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, they are giving up the 9th most points to fantasy wide receivers. It's in Tennessee. You could make an argument, but yeah, Matt Castle is no Marcus Mariota. So, obviously, we'll monitor and let you guys know as we know more. You have to be really, really careful here because this is the Monday night game. Let's go to New Orleans, where wide receiver Willie Snead said that the Saints are working him back into the offense, quote, slowly. So, of course, he's dealing with a hamstring injury. That's what held him out for a little while. I mean,
one more week, and I think he'll be good to go.
We'll see. If he is truly hobbled, I like the uptick for Coby Fleener again, but we will see. Let's go on to the tight end position, where Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce was upgraded to a, quote, full participant in practice on Thursday. He has cleared the concussion protocol, so that's great news there. And let's go to Cincinnati, where tight end Tyler Eifert has decided to undergo season-ending back surgery. So if you were rostering Tyler Eifert, that's tough. At least, there's other options out there. There's a lot of these sleeper guys that we've been talking about, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Charles Clay, to name a few that I know we really like as a show. And you weren't planning on starting them this week anyway because they're on a bye, so you have some time to figure it out. Let's go ahead and move into our topic of the day, which is our week number 6 preview. These are our starts and sits for week number 6, as we mentioned. So, as we kind of mentioned also already, there are 4 teams on a bye. We have the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Seattle Seahawks. So, if you have players in any one of those games, they should not be starting for you. So let's go, I guess, in order like we always do. And since Jason's not here, we're only getting 2 starts of the week, which I know is unfortunate, but Jason, he has every right to take a vacation. And we're going to start with the guy who I've been talking up. I streamed last week. He was my start of the week last week. He met all the expectations, and that is Jacoby Brissett. Indianapolis Colts are on the road in Tennessee, so I think the ceiling is a little bit more capped than it was at home in Indianapolis, but the Titans are giving up a ton of points to fantasy wide receivers and quarterbacks. I mean, this is a team that we really were expecting to be a lot better on defense than they have been, but they are just giving it up. The 3rd most points to fantasy quarterbacks. So I like Jacoby Brissett yet another week in Indianapolis. Building a rapport with the wide receivers in the system. I am starting him up with confidence as my top streaming option for this week. So, And also, if you are a Marcus Mariota owner, he's the guy who I'm also recommending you pick up and stash in case Marcus Mariota does not play. Other side of the ball, I know, but you should not be disappointed here. CJ, your guy.
My guy, before I get to my guy, Griffin, I know you said, kind of sad that Jason didn't be able to put some guys and then, he's on vacation. But, I kind of feel like the recommendations that he suggests, kind of really bringing down the quality of the show. I'm okay. I'm okay this week. No, I'm just playing, Jason. I love you.
So many unnecessary shots fired.
That's what you get. Shots. That's what both of y'all get for talking about when I put Andrew Luck outside of my top 15, then I'm bringing down the quality of the shots. Bam, bam. Back to you. All right, now me.
Deshaun.
Everybody gonna die. My guy, Deshaun Watson. If you were following me on Twitter, I said that this guy proved on Sunday night that he is a guy that needs to be a must start for you every single week. Young, can throw the rock, throws dimes like nobody's business, and he can be able to run. This dude in this offense is absolutely money, cash money for you. He's going up against the Browns this week, man. You need to start him and watch him put up, once again, 3 weeks in a row, 40 points. Go get it. Start this man with confidence.
I could not agree more, honestly. Deshaun Watson is a guy who I look to pick up in a couple of my leagues. He's just looking awesome. He's doing it up against tough matchups, and he's just going to get better. What was it I was talking about on Tuesday's show? He's like the number 2 quarterback on the season, and that's with him not playing week 1 because Tom Savage was. So, or at least all of week 1. So, I agree. I like it a lot. Deshaun Watson looking pretty darn good in his rookie appearance thus far. Let's move on to the running back starts of the week, and I am starting again Elijah McGuire. Now, this has all the sights, the sounds. This seems like a perfect game, and that's why I think it might actually be a trap. But, I'm just saying, if you are in a deeper league or you're in a league like our freaking listener league where everybody snatches every single running back in the world, he's a guy who might be available and a guy who is a good streaming option. I don't like him long term. He's a rental. He's a 1-week plug-in because Matt Forte is coming back. Bilal Powell will be back as well. But in the meantime, if none of those guys suit up, he's got a great matchup against the Patriots, who are giving up the most points to fantasy running backs in the league. So I'm starting him with confidence at home.
Yeah. All right, man. My guy, look, Monday night's game, man, showed me a lot of things, man. One thing that I did like, outside of Latavius Murray, starting to get in the mix, but a guy that was getting explosive and getting some looks, not only in the running game, but also in the passing game, is Jerick McKinnon. I don't know what Jerick McKinnon was drinking, after Dalvin Cook has been gone. But this man has been doing his thing. He is drinking his Powerade, Gatorade. He's mixing everything together, and he's going out there and balling. Now, look, you could say, hey, look, that's probably was just a matchup. It was a division opponent. But, look, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this man did good work, and I think that if you are hurting at the running back position, I think this is a guy that you picked off the waiver wire. You can be able to plug in, and I think he's going to have a great game going against the Packers, man. Hey, go get it, man. Go get you Jerick McKinnon.
I especially like it with Latavius Murray still being down. It's a decent matchup. It is divisional, but the Packers are giving up middle-of-the-road points to the running back. So, it's definitely a good streaming option. Let's go to the wide receiver position, where I am starting John Brown. He's starting to look healthy. He's at home. He's playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are just giving up the points, the most points to fantasy wide receivers by a pretty generous margin. So I like John Brown as a serious home run option this week against the Buccaneers.
Well, you know what? My guy is a dude that has not scored 2 touchdowns in not just 1 week, but 2 weeks. And I'm predicting he does it 3 weeks in a row. I'm talking about the thrill. Fuller, my man, listen, now if I give you his quarterback, of course I'm going to give you him. He's going against the Browns, and the Browns consistently give up the cookies when it comes to the wide receiver position. Man, go get you some Will Fuller. And guess what? If you are in a league that you can be able to get special team points, oh my gosh, what else do I need to do? Man, go get you some, man, because this man is not only going to get you some receiving touchdowns, but he can also get you yardage and touchdowns in the special teams. Man, done deal. Go get you some Will Fuller.
Yeah, the Browns are giving up the 9th fewest points to fantasy wide receivers, but I have to side though. I mean, they've played only really one wide receiver core that really scares me. They played Baltimore, which they still haven't really gotten things together. Indianapolis, where obviously that was a dumpster fire until Jacoby Brissett's finally starting to get some consistency there. Cincinnati, which, they have weapons, but they haven't been great. And the Jets, which obviously are not an elite passing option either. So I think their ranking as the 9th best pass defense is kind of a mirage. I side with CJ here. I think this is a great matchup. I will preach caution, though. We talked about this pre-show, and I think I talked about this on Tuesday. Will Fuller has been amazing through 2 weeks, but he's doing it on almost no volume. So he is very much, to me, a boom-bust guy. But, I mean, you got to stay in those flames. If he's able to go out there and get you even 1 touchdown, that's pretty good production for a guy you're probably flexing. So, yeah, Will Fuller, I like the upside against what should be a good matchup. Let's go to the tight end position, where I am starting, yet again, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I'm sticking with my guys. I've been telling you guys to stream him. I've been telling you guys to pick him up. He's a waiver wire target. He has a great matchup again against the Patriots at home in New York. Who would have thought going into the year that I'd be pulling for multiple Jets in 1 week? That's disgusting. The Jets can't even lose properly. So
crazy times, man. Crazy times.
Dude, none of this makes sense. But, I mean, the volume, the opportunity, the matchup, the Patriots are giving up the 4th most points to fantasy tight ends. It's just too good. So, yeah, I'm starting Austin Seferian-Jenkins, the top pass-catching option in New York with the Jets, with confidence this week. CJ, your guy, scary. You're so scary. Go ahead. Tell me.
My God, listen. Griffin, I can hear him over there, but listen, I just want you to let you know.
I'm just scared.
This is what I want you to do. I want you to turn the volume up just a little bit in your ears. Remember when I said Hunter Henry? Remember when I said Chargers tight ends are going to eat and feast? And they did.
No, they didn't.
They did do that. And not only did they feast, but Hunter Henry was the one that got the touchdown. And guess what? That means it was points. It was points. So I'm telling you again, believe me, have faith in me. He's going against the Oakland Raiders this week. And I'm telling you, this week, he's going to eat again and get you touchdown. And guess what? If you get more than 7 points from the tight end position this year outside of the elites, that is a good week. Expect a touchdown with Hunter Henry in your lineup. Thank you.
See, this is my problem, though, because you said start the Chargers tight ends, and Antonio Gates was in our dud section this past episode.
Hey, listen. I told you. I listen. I left room for error for me.
No. You
gotta
pick
one. I put both of them out there.
Hey.
So hey, listen. As long as one of them scored, hey, that's all I needed, man.
That is the most ridiculous of cop-outs.
Hey,
though I will agree.
I didn't lie. One of them did score.
I'll go back and listen to the show because I don't think that's how you worded it. But look, I agree that Hunter Henry, I'm warming up to him solely because Antonio Gates is banged up, so he's seeing a little bit less work. So Hunter Henry has that upside. There's other guys who I like the floor a lot better on, but I mean, obviously there's a big ceiling to be considered here, especially with Mike Williams not being back yet. If he does play, that scares me even more because that's another big body wide receiver in the red zone. So things to take into account. Definitely a dangerous pick from CJ, but I mean, it could happen. It could definitely happen.
You gotta live on danger, man. Hey, scared money don't make money, man. Go get it.
I feel like you're making up expressions just to fall in with your line of thinking.
Hey, man. Hey, sometimes you gotta climb the tree to get an apple.
You got any other words of wisdom you want to share before we move on?
Man, every squirrel gets a nut.
Wow. All right. So I hate you so much. Let's go to the sits of the week where, again, we'll start at the quarterback position. I am sitting Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger has not
pick.
been living up to his expectation. Even at home, he has been underwhelming. And this week, he is on the road in Kansas City, going against an undefeated team, which, I mean, to be fair, they're a little bit banged up. They're not as strong as they like to be, but still a solid unit all the way around. Ben Roethlisberger on the road is notably worse than at home. I am not buying it. I don't like it. Sit Ben Roethlisberger this week.
Yeah, man, I got an uncle that always says, "Hey, man, I know it's about to rain because my arthritis is flaring up." That's how I feel about Ben Roethlisberger from going forward. I just know it's gonna be at least another maybe 5 picks. So I agree with you, man. No good. A guy, this one right here, I'm conflicted with because I've been loving what they've been doing on offense, but man, they're facing a tough defense this week, and I'm talking about Jared Goff, man. I am really concerned, but yet so entertained and want to see him do good, but. This is a tough matchup, man. These Jaguars have been playing some good football, man, and shutting down some very potent offenses, man. So I'm very concerned. So when I feel like that, I preach caution. So, man, hey, look, I think there's other options out there for you, man. So I'm going to tell you to sit Jared Goff this week. I know.
I really love Jared Goff as a streamer. I don't like it this week. I agree with you. Yeah. He's definitely a sit for me this week. Let's go on to the running back position where I am sitting Isaiah Crowell. Look, if you are starting Isaiah Crowell, I mean, this was Jason's start of the week last week, and I mentioned that
reason why he went on vacation.
Yeah, maybe. You need to clear his head. I really like Duke Johnson better. I mean, he fits the system better, and he definitely fits the game script because Isaiah Crowell is not the pass catcher, and the Browns are often behind. And I expect them to be behind again this week. They're going against the Texans, which, as CJ has pointed out, have been putting up tons of points, and they have a tough defense, especially good run defense. So I just don't like Isaiah Crowell. I mean, it's getting to the point he might honestly be droppable because I don't think you're going to be able to get anything for him because it's getting so late into the season now. Everyone's going to see it. So, if you rostered him, if you burnt a 3rd, 4th round pick on him, some people burn 2nd round picks, you're stuck with him. I mean, I don't think you can drop him because it's one of those things like, I'll put this to you, CJ, and this is kind of the way that I kind of tie break things sometimes when I'm really on the fence with a player. If you saw Isaiah Crowell out there on the waiver wire and you were in desperate need of running backs, like you lost Dalvin Cook and a couple other guys so far this season, you're just pulling for scraps. He's someone you would roster because we know the upside is there. I
mean, it's been tough, man. I said this on the CJ's Huddle show, nice little plug there for me. A couple weeks ago, his opportunity against the Jets. I mean, that was the perfect opportunity for him to go out there, right the ship, have a good game, show, hey, guess what? For those that hold on to me, man, and were hoping that they would get something out of me, hey, guess what? I return the favor and show you a vote of confidence that I'm still that guy in this offense. But that's not been the case. The guy that's been in that offense out of the running back core is Duke Johnson. Week after week, Duke Johnson has been getting the touches, getting looks, and it's been making Isaiah Crowell look bad each week and making it a bad pick for you each week that, you probably went high on him and he's not returning value. So for me, if I'm hurting at running back, I'm talking about, I got David Johnson on IR. And, I just found out about Zeke. He's not playing this week. Right. This is – I don't even know if I can drop somebody to go get him right now because he has not shown me anything that he's going to return and have a good week.
Man, how I can't even say the muddy have fallen because I don't think it was ever muddy. But
it's terrible because he had so much – he did so much good work last year, and he didn't have the upgrades to the offensive line that they have now.
But they have massive downgrades to the wide receiver core, which I think isn't helping either.
Yeah, it just hurts my heart, man. It hurts because I want him to succeed.
So do I. Yeah, he was we were all very high on Isaiah Crowell because of everything he accomplished last year, like you said, the upgraded offensive line, all this stuff, the upgraded defense. We thought they were going to be in possibly more positive game scripts, but it just has not been the case. And as soon as they're down, they're having to force to pass. That's not Isaiah Crowell. That's Duke Johnson. So, I'm sitting him. It's a really tough matchup on the road. They'll probably be behind early, and then they're not even going to use him. I know his volume went up last week. He got more touches than he has in weeks past, but none of that I think is going to help this week. So I'm sitting Isaiah Crowell. CJ, your guy.
My guy is a guy I mentioned earlier when we talking about the a guy that new face, new place now, just got traded to Arizona Cardinals. Talking about Adrian Peterson, man. Basically told you, why I'm not a big fan of him this week. I mean, man, just got there. I mean, it's that bad. Look, I know the running back position right now. You're probably hurting. You're seeing him. You saw him out there. You're like, hey, how about I just go out there and get him? He might do it. Look. I think you should just, hold your horses. Hold your horses. Just chill out. Don't do it, man, because you're probably gonna get hit with a dud, man. And I don't want you to be hurt. I don't want you hurting like that. Wait till next week. Next week, I feel it'll be a better week. This week, I'm not feeling it this week.
Yes, I'm only starting Adrian Peterson if I am really desperate because it is a good matchup like we talked about. I mean, the opportunity, true, but we need to see it. We need to see how he's used. We need to see how much of the offense he can even grasp in the couple days he's been there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of danger that's going into that start. So yeah, I if I can help it, I'm sitting Adrian Peterson. Wide receiver sits of the week. I am sitting Sammy Watkins. Now a lot of people rushed out to grab and start Sammy Watkins, especially after the great week he had a couple weeks ago. But as a whole, he's been far from consistent. He's not been regularly putting up those great performances, and he's now on the road this week against the Jags, who have an amazing wide receiver defense. They're top 3. So I'm just not starting Sammy Watkins. CJ sat Jared Goff. I'm sitting Sammy Watkins. It's just a bad game. Stay away from it. I don't think I'm starting really any Rams wide receivers in this game. So
it's tough.
If I can help it, Cooper Kupp,
yeah,
all of them,
yeah.
Robert Woods. But Sammy Watkins is the big household name, so I put him up here. CJ, your guy.
My guy, man, it hurts me to do this, but man, it's been tough. It's been tough. My guy, Martavis Bryant, man, it's been tough watching him week after week. He had that one good game that got you, like, depending on your scoring format, 17, 18 fantasy points. But ever since then, man, it's been dud after dud after dud after dud, and you just can't. I can't put you through this because I've been through it. So I'm sitting them down. So I'm suggesting you sit them down. Don't do it, man. This is not a good matchup. Don't do it, man. Stay away from it.
I agree. And a bonus one, I put this with CJ. Amari Cooper, because we should not be starting Amari Cooper.
No. The man can't even catch the ball. Why would you put him in your lineup? No.
Where's the stats? I saw something crazy that he has more drop passes than he has completions.
That's terrible.
So, I mean, that's not even targets. That's like times that he's dropped the ball. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. Let's go to Tennessee, tight ends, where I am sitting, not a Tennessee Titan. I am sitting a Oakland Raider. I am sitting Jared Cook. The Los Angeles Chargers are very good against the tight end, and Jared Cook just not being used heavily. He wasn't being used heavily with Derek Carr there. He's not being used very heavily with I always want to say Emmanuel Sanders. Why? EJ Manuel at quarterback.
There you go.
I don't know why I keep doing that. It's getting really, really dumb. So yeah, I'm not a believer this week. I really am not a believer in Jared Cook really as a whole in that offense. But yeah, so if you have him, it's a tough matchup. I'm not starting him with any confidence, and that's why I'm sitting him. CJ, your guy, take us home.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, he had that one promising game against the Redskins. Ever since then, he just hasn't shown that back up again. So, yeah. My guy, man, is Zach Miller. Now, I know you heard me earlier talking about, a young rookie quarterback's favorite, toy is going to be the tight end. And Zach Miller, he showed some promise Monday night. But they're going against the Baltimore Ravens, man. Baltimore has been struggling on defense these last couple of weeks. I think they right the ship. They get into the Rook's head. And I think Zach Miller is going to be the one that's to suffer, man. He's not going to be getting those touches and getting the touchdowns, man. So I say sit Zach Miller this week going against Baltimore.
I mean, I would say the Ravens have been pretty darn good on defense, but the offense not being able to stay on the field is really crushing them statistically when it comes to fantasy. I agree. Chicago's going to have a hard...
I think your fandom is, covering up a lot of mess.
I think my fandom is what's giving me such an insightful look into the situation in Baltimore.
Those points say something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's look at it. Besides that one big game against Jacksonville, against the tight ends, terrible English. They gave up 2.9, 7 points, 3.5. I mean, they've always been good against the tight end, but that one freaking London game against the Jags where they gave up 30.4 fantasy points to the tight end, 74 yards and 3 touchdowns is really throwing things off here. I agree. I'm not starting Zach Miller. This game is in Baltimore. I agree. All right, so yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Please make sure you guys tune in on Tuesday when we will hopefully have Jason Cabrera back, provided he actually gets home from his vacation. We'll be covering all of our studs and duds from week number 6, and of course, all of our top waiver wire targets for week number 7. Remember, you can support the show and get bonus episodes every single week on Patreon at patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. You can also subscribe to the show wherever you are listening. We come to you every single Tuesday and Friday, iTunes and Stitcher and all those various other streaming services. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Go ahead and give us a like over there. It really helps the show out a lot. And we post some fun stuff there. You guys should enjoy it. And of course, the best way to interact with the show is to follow us on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. Or you can follow us individually. I'm at GPalmerFFF, and CJ is at CJ Hickman89. So with that, we are getting out of here. CJ, any parting thoughts, buddy?
Hey, man, just come check me out on Sundays, man. CJ's Huddle in the morning, man, about 10:30. We kick off. You just give you some hot takes and everything, what I got going on with the show. And Jason, my man, we appreciate you, man. Come on back, man. And send some love to Jason, man, while he's out on his vacation.
Yeah, everybody send a tweet to Jason Cabrera 13 and send him some love he hurries back. I always forget to add that to the outro. Yep, CJ does his live Periscope with last-second updates, while if you follow us on Twitter at the FF Fanatics, you'll get all the significant injury updates going into the week. It's into the games. As we get them, I tweet them out. So, yeah, we're out of here. Everyone, have a great weekend. Best of luck to all of your teams. We will see you on Tuesday. Bye.
Go Eagles, baby. Got that win. Oh, Jason.